First of all, find somewhere nice and clean, dry, and tip your tank on its side. Now those of you that do know this, you have to remove the 6 screws, 2 near the back, 2 a little bit further in, and then there's 2 right at the front of the tank, just there, one on either side. So go ahead and remove those screws, put them somewhere safe. Once you've done that, you'll find that the body of the tank comes off. I'm not actually going to do it on this one because I've done it previously, and it's quite easy to see. The body of the tank actually lifts off with a turret at the top of the body, so there's no problem with that. Right, we'll proceed from there. So I assume that you've actually taken it apart and you've got the turret separate. So as you look underneath, you'll find the turret ring and the retaining screws for that. If you take those out and put them somewhere safe, and then you'll find that the turret comes away separately. Once you've done that, take all the screws from underneath the turret except the 4 in a little block at the front near the barrel. Don't take those out just yet. No need to unplug anything at this point. Leave your wiring, plugs and everything in. Separate, and I'll show you in a few seconds what I mean by separate your barrel. So once you've got it all separated, this is what you'll see underneath with your BB firing and the rest of the assembly there. Right, so there's 2 screws there. Undo that, take that away. Do not unplug any of your cables at this moment in time from your main board. You'll see 2 others underneath which go into this side here. One's for your machine gun and one's for your infrared. You can unplug those, but mark where they come from on your main board. Right, now we'll proceed with what we need to do to get your smoke barrel and firing BBs. Right guys, here we are, we're back again. Now what you end up with is this, and that will be inside it. Leave this resting inside your tank. Same as there's no need to unplug all your wires. You will see when you take this off, there will be 2 wires. There will be an LED there and another one there. It's up to you if you take them off or not, but you can work around it by doing this. So if you take these 2 screws out, lay that aside, you've got nothing in your way. Right, so you're left with this. Now this is your normal barrel, and that's your inner barrel. Now you will see some holes in there when you draw it out. Whatever you do, don't think you've got to block them off, otherwise your gun won't shoot. Your BBs will just fall out to the end. It needs that for pressure release. Right, so you take your tube out, lay that aside, out of your way, and you're left with this. Right, so underneath, what you need to do is get your drill. And as you see earlier, I've drilled that in there, a pilot hole at a fairly steep angle, so it goes all the way. Once you've done that, change your bit and put a larger one in and follow it through again at a long angle. So once you've done that, you need to mark down the centre. What you'll probably see is there's a join mark. Now if you can see, I don't know if you can actually see that down there, but there is like a join mark. It's part of your moulding. So if you follow that line down, and what you need to do is get your files, and as you can see what I've already done on this one, you start to gouge a line out all the way down and then open that one out at the same time. Now I use this particular one, and as you can see it does a very good job just with the point where it's actually broken off. Now you do all that all the way through so it's all nice and flush, and then your hole is nice and easy to get to. Right, so here's where you want your pipe. Now initially your pipe's obviously a straight piece of pipe. I've already bent this one for ease and everything else. So you put that in, and then to get your bend you just fold it down. That's all you need to do, just fold it down, and if you look it down inside the barrel you'll see it just sticking up. Right, so once you've got that, take it out. Now you'll see this. What you need to do is put that back in. I've already obviously pre-drilled this one. And you put that back in, and then when it's in, you mark it whatever you like at a steep angle. Mark it, and it'll come out, and you'll see some little scratch marks on it. Obviously there's none on this one because I haven't done it, I've already pre-drilled it. Now as you can see, I've already got an elongated hole, so if you drill at the furthest end of those marks with your pilot drill first, and then open it out and then file it like this till you get an elongated view. Now what you need to do is just make sure that that fits all right, nice and snug and easy inside there. Replace that in there. Now you'll see I've got a little screwdriver here. Now if you can't find your hole, just plug that in your hole and twist your barrel and you found your hole. So if you put that in, push it all the way, it needs to be all the way in, and then just wiggle it, and that gives you your centre for your hole. So then you put this back in and make sure it goes all the way in, nice and flush through the middle. And as you see, I've already bent this one, so what you'll have to do is just put a couple of tie straps around it just to hold it in place for the time being, then bend it. Now be very careful when you bend it. If you crease it, it'll trap it off. As you can see, it's quite an exaggerated bend, but it is clear of that. And if you watch, that sits in there quite snug. Now you'll see at the top here, I've brought it straight the way out. You have a choice here, a three-way choice actually. Right, now your choices are, if you have the old system where you have a spring sitting on top like this, and then this sits in there, obviously you can't bring it straight back because it's in your way. So if you haven't got this, you could bring your pipe down there, just put a little tie strap around it, then put your pipe on, your flexi pipe onto it out of the way. If you have got one of the newer versions of this, same as this one has a cam, and you've got a motor sitting there, obviously you can't bring it out. So the other choice is, if you've got nothing impeding it at the back, you could leave it straight and just slide your pipe on, or you can bring it over and then down this side. It's up to you which one you want to use. It's entirely your choice and how it will fit in your tank. So right, now we've got all the pipe bent, everything's fixed in place, we're all happy with that. That's nice and snug in place. So all you need to do now is take that off, take that out, put a little bit of glue in there, a little dab of glue all the way down, all the way inside. Don't put too much in, otherwise it will flush out and go everywhere. Then put that back in there. Just a warning, before you do, make sure that you use your file on that end and flatten it off. As you look inside the barrel, you'll see this might stick up a wee bit. So what you need to do is put this, after you've drilled that, there'll be some burr anyway, so you need to do that, get rid of your burr, and then on the outside, and just take your burr off from the outside and make sure it's all nice and smooth inside. And the best way to make sure is just drop a BB down it. If it gets impeded at any point, just run your file down it gently again till you've got no impedance for your ball bearing. Right, so now we've got that all back in. I can actually see I'm in line, so glue it in, all in place there like that, and set that aside to dry. Depending on what type of glue you use is how long you set it aside. Right, so now if you look down inside the barrel, Not if you can see inside there, there's nothing impeding it at all. But if there is, just take your file and gently file it off, and then check to make sure you've got a good pressure comes through. And that is about it. You put it all back together, or fit it back inside your tank, bolt it all up together, and then you'll end up with, as you can see, the cables and everything's back in, it's all been screwed back together. So what you're left with is your tube on there. All you need to do now, paint that over with your khaki paint, just cut your clip off, and that's ready, able to go. So normally you've got a little bit of a plate that fixes on there on the bottom. I'm just using a bit of cardboard just for representation purposes. Now mark it in the centre where the pipe goes, and then get your little file and file it that way inwards, just big enough and sloping enough so that your pipe, it clears your pipe. And then once you've done that, screw your plate back on, put everything back together, everything fits back together with your pipe and everything else in, and fit it all back into your tank. And whichever system you're using for your smoke system, there's two I believe on the market at the moment. One is RC Tank Legion with an interrupter switch complete. It's got a flash, which you won't actually need the LCD flash for it. And also there's one from Heng, which is slightly different design, but I believe does the same sort of thing with an interrupter switch. So once everything's all back together, you're basically ready to go. Right guys, just before we sign off and say totty bye for now, there's just a couple of things I wanted to show you, what I've also done on mine. Now if you see that black part there, that's actually the filler for the smoke unit that goes inside. So connect the pipe up from there. It's entirely up to you how you fit it in. I've put a little piece of bent pipe and glued it in, and then put the tube, the flexi tube onto it and into the smoke unit from inside. Now I don't know if you can see, but right at the front of that, just there, is a little lump. Now I'll show you what that does in a second. I'll just fire it up and we're ready to go. Now you see that? It's lit up. Now that LED is showing that the smoke for the barrel is active. That's all it does. It's just connected to your heater unit for your smoke, and it shows that it's switched on and active. So when you shoot, you should get your smoke coming out. So just switch that off, and there it goes. Right, and the final thing I want to show you is, you sometimes don't know when you've got smoke for your engine smoke coming out. So what I've also done is, inside I've put a little LED on the heater unit again for that. So if there's no smoke coming out and it's switched on, you know you definitely need some oil filling into it. So any second now there should be some smoke. Ah, there it starting to come out now. So that is all for now. And just switch the smoke off, and there it goes off. So that's one way of knowing that you know exactly when the smoke should be working. Any problems? Don't be afraid to ask. I'll try and answer as many questions as I possibly can if you're not quite sure of what to do. Thanks for watching guys, hope it's helped you a lot. Bye for now.